It's not by chance that you're viewing this video. There's a reason you're here. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. As you stumble on this video, perhaps not by chance, it will serve to awaken your spirit. Heaven, in its perfect wisdom, never moves without intention and never errs in divine timing. And though you may not yet comprehend why you were chosen, why your path has been marked with trials, or why you often feel set apart, understand this truth: that you were destined to leave a mark not fleeting or fragile, but one etched into the fabric of eternity itself. A legacy beyond applause or popularity, rooted not in recognition, but in divine purpose. And as you receive this message, pause to align your heart, for this is not mere content, but sacred confirmation that your arrival here is not by coincidence, but by divine orchestration. A reminder that your calling still stands strong, and your impact ordained by heaven is awakening now. So if your spirit bears witness to this truth, type 77 in the comment now. This sacred number be your declaration that you are ready, aware, and walking boldly in the fullness of your divine assignment. Not everyone is destined to reach the end of this video, for only the truly chosen will feel the pull to remain, while many will scroll past and fail to sense the sacred weight of this moment. Yet if you choose to stay, the veil will begin to lift, revealing the truth of who you are and reigniting the divine assignment this world tried so hard to make you forget. For this is not merely a video or passing message, but a stirring of spiritual DNA long dormant. An awakening that unfolds in layers so profound that each return to these words will resonate differently, sometimes gently, sometimes with fire. Each encounter unveiling new depths for your spirit to grasp, until the message seeps into the very core of your being, sealing you with purpose, anchoring you in truth, and reminding you beyond doubt that you were born to leave a mark no measure of time could ever erase. So now let us begin this journey together. Chapter 1. From the moment you arrived on this earth, it was clear that you were not born to blend in, but to stand out. For heaven itself whispered into the atmosphere. A mark, a light, a presence that did not conform to what surrounded you, and although you may not have had the words to describe it as you were growing up, deep within you, you always knew you were unlike the others, for you did not speak as they did. You did not think as they thought. And no matter how hard you tried to fit in, your spirit continuously pulled you in a different direction, so that while others chased fleeting trends, your heart longed for truth. While others sought the approval of the world, your soul craved purpose. And while many followed the path of the crowd, something within you chose the narrow road, the road less traveled, which alone could carry the destiny written for you. They may have mocked you for being different, laughed at your dreams, questioned your silence, and misjudged your kindness. But what they did not know is that God had already marked you, stamping his fingerprint on your life before you ever took your first breath, and wiring you with heavenly codes and an assignment so unique that even hell has tried and failed to decode it. And that difference was never a defect or a weakness, but a divine strategy. For God allowed you to stand out because he never intended for you to be common. And you were never meant to walk in circles, but were sent to break cycles, not to echo the noise of the world, but to release a sound that shifts atmospheres and awakens people from spiritual sleep. So that when you walk into a room, people feel a change, not merely from your presence, but from your purpose in motion. And even before you speak, your very being challenges the environment, which is why some resist you and why you have felt misunderstood. Because spiritual things cannot be explained to carnal minds. They can only be discerned. Though you have spent years questioning why you do not fit in, why you continue to be separated, and why your journey often feels lonely, God has been setting you apart not to punish you, but to preserve you, preparing you in private because your public assignment carries eternal weight, removing distractions, protecting the purity of your heart, and guarding the anointing upon your life. For you were never born to be ordinary or to mimic what has already been done, but to carve new paths rather than follow old ones, which is why you feel deeply, love differently, and dream bigger than those around you. Why certain doors closed, why certain people departed, and why certain seasons felt like wilderness, all because you are the evidence of a new era, the fulfillment of prayers spoken long before your birth, the carrier of a legacy that stretches beyond time, and one assigned to awaken others who have forgotten who they are. You are not a mistake, you are not too much, and you are not lost, for you are rising into what you were always destined to be. A divine disruptor, a spiritual pioneer, a living prophecy, born to stand out so that the world could witness what God looks like when he wraps purpose in human skin. And therefore you must stop apologizing for your light. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable, and stop questioning the fire within you, for that fire was breathed by heaven. That calling is backed by heaven, and the path you're walking, though lonely at times, is leading you directly into the center of divine fulfillment. Chapter 2. Your struggles have always been signs of your assignment, for if your life has felt unusually heavy, unpredictable, or unfair, it is not because you are cursed, but because you are called, and you have been carrying a weight that few can see and even fewer can understand. For from a young age, life did not grant you the ease it seemed to grant others. You were struck early, tested deeply, and wounded in ways that left no visible scars. Yet the spiritual ones remain with you daily. And the truth is that your battles have never been random, for the intensity of your pain has always corresponded to the intensity of your purpose. The enemy identified you before you even knew who you were, silencing you before you learned to speak with power, and attacking your path before you discovered how to walk in purpose. And the very moment you were born, hell issued a threat alert, for you were sent as a solution to the cycles that have plagued generations. You were not merely struggling, but being forged. You were not being punished, but positioned, for God allowed certain experiences not to break you, but to build you. And your wilderness was never a waste of time, but a divine training ground. So that while others were being seen, you were being sharpened in secret. And while others sought comfort, you were called into consecration, having cried tears that nobody witnessed, carried burdens that no one helped you bear, and walked through seasons where the silence was deafening and the loneliness felt endless. Yet even in your lowest moments, there remained within you a refusal to quit, which is not evidence of weakness, but proof of your assignment. For you were born with resilience rooted in revelation, and with a spirit that heaven refuses to relinquish. The reason your warfare was personal is that your calling is prophetic, for you were not placed on this earth merely to live, but to lead, to lift, and to liberate. And every attack against you served as confirmation of your capacity. Every betrayal revealed the boundaries you were meant to uphold, and every heartbreak refined the very essence of your heart, so that you did not suffer simply to survive, but to acquire sacred strength. And if you look back, you will see that the things that nearly took you out were the very experiences that shaped who you are, with pain deepening your prayer life, rejection sharpening your discernment, and confusion compelling you to seek wisdom beyond your years, so that what was intended to destroy you actually deployed you into divine understanding. Do not overlook this. The enemy targeted your mind above all, because if he could get you to doubt yourself, he could delay your destiny, yet you kept rising. And even when you questioned your worth and felt weak, that inner push, that quiet voice whispering, "Keep going," was your assignment speaking, heaven reminding you that your life is bigger than what you have endured. For you were not chosen because of what you possessed, but because of what you could carry. And to carry glory, you had to experience grief. To carry wisdom, you had to endure wounds. To carry healing, you had to walk through brokenness, making your life a prophetic training ground, a sacred classroom, a spiritual boot camp. And now you are being called forward, for the very battles that tried to bury you are proof that you were built for this, so that you were not merely surviving but storing up power, revelation, and fire. And what broke others could not break you. What crushed others only caused your roots to grow deeper, and you have become the answer to the very problems that crushed so many others. Chapter 3. Your voice was created not merely to speak, but to break cycles, and it is far from ordinary. It is anointed, carrying not just sound but power. And the story of your life, no matter how painful, was never intended solely for survival, but rather to shatter systems, dismantle generational patterns, and liberate those held captive by circumstance. From the very beginning, the enemy sought to silence you through rejection, fear, and trauma, knowing full well that if your voice were ever to rise in confidence and truth, it would possess the ability to shake entire atmospheres, which is why these attacks were aimed not merely at your emotions, but at your very capacity for expression. Once you discovered and embraced your voice, the cycles that had bound your bloodline for generations would begin to unravel, for you were not born into dysfunction to be defeated by it, but rather to disrupt it, to interrupt patterns of silence, suffering, and secrecy, which explains why the abuse you endured was not the conclusion of your story, but rather the commencement of your calling, and why the betrayal you experienced did not bury you, but instead became the fertile soil from which your courage and boldness began to grow. There is a reason your voice carries such weight, a reason shaped in fire, refined through affliction, and purified by pain. For you did not receive this authority from a platform, but from the depths of a pit. You did not learn to speak by studying, but by surviving. And now when you open your mouth, heaven responds. Hell trembles, chains begin to loosen. What once felt like shame has become your testimony. What once made you feel small has become your mantle, and what the enemy intended for humiliation has been transformed by God into holy activation. Because you do not speak from ego, but from encounter, not from theory, but from transformation. And every tear, every silent prayer, every sleepless night has imbued your voice with the power it now carries, so that every time you speak in your truth, you are doing far more than sharing. You are shifting realities, correcting narratives rooted in fear for decades, healing wounds your family never addressed, giving voice to what your ancestors could not say, breaking generational silence and empowering those who have never had a voice of their own. And because of all this, you have become dangerous to the enemy, marked as a cycle breaker, a spiritual reformer, a vessel of divine disruption, whose very presence challenges comfort, whose story exposes systems, whose truth shakes traditions, and whose obedience accomplishes what entire bloodlines failed to do. Confronting what was hidden, speaking what was silenced, and healing what was passed down, so that even when you do not always feel confident or qualified, you must not let your feelings deceive you, for your voice is a weapon given not merely to speak, but to shift realities, to declare freedom, to call out injustice, to call people up, which is why your healing matters, which is why your authenticity matters. Because when you show up as your healed, whole, and holy self, cycles begin to break. And it is not only the words you speak, but the very effect of your presence that transforms others, so that some people feel freedom simply by being around you without knowing why. And the reason is that your spirit carries permission. Permission to be real, to feel deeply, to rise boldly, and to live unbound. Chapter 4. God hid you to protect your power, and although you may have spent years wondering why no one saw you, why they did not celebrate you, and why doors that opened for others remained closed for you, what felt like rejection was in fact redirection. What felt like delay was divine strategy, for you were hidden not because you were unworthy, but because you were far too worthy to be exposed prematurely. And God did not conceal you to hurt you, but to hold you, to develop you in a place where critics could not crush you, where pride could not poison you, and where distractions could not derail you. So that, while others rushed into visibility, you were being refined in a sacred cave. And while others built platforms, you were being built in private by the hand of God Himself, covered for your own good. Because had you been seen too soon, they would have attempted to define you before you had even discovered yourself, to mold you in their image rather than allowing you to grow into the image of your Creator. And ultimately, God kept you under wraps, not because you were unready for the world, but because the world was not yet ready for you. Your voice carries something far too sacred to be reduced to mere entertainment, and your presence bears something far too holy to be placed in the wrong rooms, which is why you could not go viral when others did, why you did not receive the same applause, and why your journey often felt so isolated. For God was building something in you that required nurture rather than noise. and you were not being overlooked but overshadowed by His glory, so that in the shadow something supernatural occurred. You developed spiritual weight, gained discernment, learned to move by revelation rather than validation, stopped performing for attention, and began positioning yourself for divine assignment. And just as Moses was hidden in a basket before becoming a deliverer, Joseph in a prison before ruling a palace, and Jesus in Nazareth before revealing the kingdom, you too were hidden because you are a carrier of divine disruption, a deliverer in disguise, a leader unlike the crowd, a voice that does not echo culture. And now the season of hiding is shifting. The cocoon is cracking. The curtain is lifting. Not because you are chasing the spotlight, but because heaven is ready to reveal what it preserved. God is preparing to place you in rooms for which your resume may not qualify you, not to impress people, but to fulfill prophecy. And though they may ask where you came from, the truth is that you have been here all along, hidden under the protection of God, like David tending sheep in a field while kings fought battles, like Esther behind palace walls being prepared for purpose, like Jesus in the wilderness overcoming temptation before stepping into destiny. And when God reveals you, it will not be subtle but sovereign. Your gifts will no longer be overlooked. Your voice will no longer be silenced. The very people who once dismissed you will be the same ones who witness your rise. And because God Himself brings you forth, no one can send you back, and no human gatekeeper can halt a divine unveiling. Chapter 5. The world needs what you have endured, chosen one. For your story is not a mistake but a ministry. And the pain you have suffered, the seasons you have survived, and the secrets you once feared would shame you, are all now becoming your platform. So that what the enemy intended to bury you has instead become the very thing God is using to build you. As those hidden chapters you tried to forget are being pulled back to the surface, not to embarrass you, but to empower you, because someone out there is praying for the strength you have already fought for. Someone is trapped in a cycle you have already broken, and your scars are not liabilities, but evidence that healing is real. For God does not waste wounds, but transforms them into weapons. Your tears have become testimonies. Your breakdowns have become blueprints for breakthrough. And what you once thought would disqualify you, your trauma, has actually qualified you to carry a mantle that cannot be taught in classrooms or found in textbooks. For you did not just survive for yourself, but for others, and now you carry deliverance. Now you carry authority. The world does not need another perfect story. It needs your real one. The story in which you almost gave up but did not. The story in which you lost it all and yet continued to worship, and you do not need to polish your past. For God's power is revealed in the raw places, in the midst of your mess, in the moments when all you had was faith and a whisper of hope, which is precisely where God met you, so that you are not merely a speaker, but a survivor, not just an influencer, but an intercessor. Having arrived here not by strategy, but by surrender. And the weight you now carry did not come from success, but from suffering, from being overlooked, misunderstood, and misused, and yet still choosing to remain faithful. And it is this journey that makes your impact unshakable, giving you a presence that cannot be faked because you earned it in the furnace. Your past is not merely part of your testimony, but part of your assignment. For the addiction you broke provides a roadmap for someone else. The identity crisis you navigated shows the way for those still trapped. Every low point you endured serves as a key. Every delay was divine, and God will place you into rooms not because of your resume, but because of your resurrection, where they will recognize the oil upon you and sense the healing in your presence. And you do not need a spotlight because your survival itself is the light. Nor do you need a title because your transformation speaks louder than any platform. For the world does not merely need your talent, but your transparency, your heart, and the real story of how God brought you back when everyone else thought it was over. So do not shrink from your story, do not hide the parts that hurt, and do not cover what God is trying to uncover, because that is where the power resides, and your impact will not be measured by how much you know, but by how much you have overcome. And your mark on this world will come through the truth of who you have become while walking with a God who never let go. For you are not merely a testimony, but a turning point for someone else. and your story is only just beginning. Chapter 6. You are a living fulfillment of divine prophecy, not merely someone who was born, but someone who was sent. For your existence was not an accident, but an assignment. And you did not simply appear on earth by chance, but were summoned by divine design, with heaven whispering your name long before the world ever saw your face, with words spoken in secret, prayers whispered in silence, and declarations made in the Spirit long before you took your first breath, so that you are now walking in prophecy, living proof that God never forgets what He promises. The things that were delayed in your bloodline are now being delivered through you, for you are the answer to the cries of those who came before you, the deliverer your ancestors hoped would one day rise, the bridge between what was broken and what will finally be made whole. And there are mantles upon your life that did not begin with you, but will be completed through you as you are finishing what others lack the strength, time, or revelation to finish. Fulfilling generational prayers, carrying oil that cost your lineage everything, holding ground that was once lost, and understanding that it is not merely about your survival, but about your stewardship. For your name is tied to promises prophesied decades, even centuries ago, embedded in spiritual contracts in your DNA. And you have been chosen to break what bound them, to build what they never had the chance to start, and to see what they only imagined in dreams, which is why you feel things more deeply, why your battles are heavier, and why your warfare feels ancient, because indeed it is. As you have been fighting battles older than your birth certificate, while simultaneously carrying glory older than your pain. The enemy's attacks against you have not been random, but strategic, for hell recognized who you were before you even realized it. And from the moment you were born, a shift occurred in the spirit. Something sacred entered the battlefield, and the assignment upon your life became a threat to everything that thrives in darkness. You are not average, nor are you ordinary, for heaven has invested too much in you to allow you to live beneath your calling. And you were hidden, refined, stretched, and stripped not as punishment, but for power, with the intensity of your process serving as preparation, as God was building your voice to carry weight in your life to carry legacy, so that you are now walking prophecy, a sacred fulfillment, a divine vessel wrapped in human skin, leaving a mark that will not only touch your own timeline, but echo into eternity. With your obedience opening doors for generations you will never meet, in your faith covering bloodlines you have not yet birthed. You are history's correction, legacy's revival, and the manifestation of promises that appeared to have expired but never did, serving as proof that God keeps His word across generations, that a prayer released in faith never dies, and that you are the answered call, the final draft of decades of divine preparation. Chapter 7. Walk boldly in what God has ordained. This is not the moment to doubt who you are or question the value of your calling. This is not the season to let fear make you small. You didn't endure all those battles to give up now. You didn't walk through all that pain to lose your confidence here. You've journeyed too far, endured too much, and grown too strong to turn back. Now is the time to rise and move forward with faith, fully grounded in what heaven already declared about you. You don't need anyone's approval to step into your purpose. You've already been affirmed by God Himself. You're not waiting for someone to give you the green light. You were born with a divine mission. Your destiny was written in the records of heaven long before anyone ever spoke your name. No human being can alter what God has sealed. What He has established over your life cannot be erased, reversed, or undone. You were created to carry divine glory. You were not born by chance, nor placed on this earth without purpose. You were divinely designed to carry glory, to walk into rooms and shift atmospheres simply by being who you are. You were chosen to build what others only imagined, but never had the courage to attempt. Your existence is not a coincidence, nor are you a substitute in someone else's plan. You are the embodiment of divine intention, a living declaration, a walking miracle, a moving testament that when God speaks, His word stands unchallenged by human doubt or earthly resistance. The essence you carry cannot be measured by applause, platforms, or public recognition. What rests upon you is sacred, a divine imprint that transcends time, culture, and popularity. It is an anointing that doesn't fade with trends or depend on visibility. You carry a presence so powerful that even unseen realms acknowledge it. The forces of darkness recognize your authority before your name is even spoken. You were never sent to merely occupy space, you were sent to transform it. You weren't called to blend in. You were called to build and birth what has never existed before. Your presence speaks even in your silence. Your obedience to divine instruction moves things in spiritual dimensions that human eyes cannot yet perceive. Even when it seems like nothing is changing, your faithfulness is shaking unseen realms. There is oil upon your steps, divine favor guiding your every move. There is fire within your voice, a heavenly power that ignites transformation when you speak. There is power in your presence, not because of your own strength, but because of the one who sent you. You are a vessel of divine will, a reflection of eternal purpose, a carrier of heaven's authority in human form. God has been diligently preparing you, meticulously refining every part of your character, purging every distraction, every compromise, every hindrance, and strategically positioning you exactly where you are meant to stand. Every delay you experience was not a setback, but a deliberate period of development designed to strengthen your patience and deepen your resilience. Every rejection was not a denial, but a redirection, guiding you toward a path more aligned with your destiny. Every battle you endured made you bolder, teaching you courage and faith in the unseen, while every wound you received sharpened your wisdom, equipping you with insight that only experience can cultivate. Now the time has come to step fully into what God has prepared for you. Walk as though you carry heaven's perfect blueprint in your spirit. Speak with the authority of one who has heard the very voice of God. Move as though the promises placed over your life have already been fulfilled, because what God has ordained cannot and will not be overthrown, neither by human opinions, by opposition, by delays, nor even by your own moments of doubt. The world has yet to witness the full measure of what has been growing within you, but heaven already sees it clearly, and hell already trembles in fear at the power stirring inside your life. Let the earth bear witness to the manifestation of what has been cultivated in the Spirit. This is your season of release, your season of visibility, your season of fulfillment. This is the precise moment when your walk will reflect the weight of your calling, when every step you take will echo with divine confirmation, and when the authority and favor upon your life will be unmistakable. You are not merely walking into purpose, you are walking in prophecy, living proof of God's perfect plan, and a tangible demonstration of what heaven has spoken before the foundations of the world. Thanks for watching. Here ends this video. If you're eager for more, whether additional chapters to this spiritual journey or a powerful visual concept for a video or thumbnail, simply just say the word. I'm here and am ready to help bring it all to life.